All right, it is 7 o'clock. All right, well, good evening, everyone. This is Thursday, June 23rd, 2022, 7 o'clock in the evening. This is the Bolton Select Board meeting. First up on our agenda is a request from Bikes Not Bombs for approval to use Bolton roads as part of the 35th annual Bike-a-thon on Sunday, September 11th, 2022. Julia Carr, do we have Julia Carr? Do
I
we
don't
not
see-
have Julia Carr?
I don't see Julia.
All right. She is not here. Okay, we got an email from Warren Bumper saying that this event has come through Bolton numerous times, no issue, police approved.
And are there any, is there any other documentation that they need to provide, liability insurance documents or anything like that? Do we have all that?
We believe I believe they've supplied everything required.
All right,
I move to approve the Bike-a-thon for Bikes Not Bombs on September 11th, 2022.
do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Roll call, Sikansky,
Aye.
Winner,
Aye.
Wysocki.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, next up on our agenda is a sign request, actually a couple of them. First is a sign request from the First Parish Church located at 673 Main Street for existing sign review. Jeffrey Nichols. Jeffrey, are you with us?
He is, but he's muted currently.
How are we doing now? You got me?
We got you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, Jeff.
Want to walk us through your request?
Oh, so basically the sign, as you know, was ruined by a car accident. And in rebuilding it, we realized that we would put a panel on the inside of the sign as well as the one we had on the.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, that's not Jeff Nichols. That sounds like Frank Patterson.
Oh, it is me, yes.
No, we're waiting
No,
to
for
hear.
Frank, you're not up yet, Frank.
I'll see you guys in a little bit.
We're waiting
There
for
you
Jeff.
go. Mr. Nichols, do we have Mr. Nichols?
Jeff apparently thought this meeting was in person and came to the town hall, so Jenny's trying to get him set up at the
All right.
kiosk.
Should we move ahead with the Bolton Community Fund placement of yard signs?
I'd suggest that, yes.
All right, but let's move on and we'll circle back. Request from the Bolton Community Fund for placement of signs. Courtney Pfeiffer. Are you with us? Like we're 0 for 2.
Jenny, were we anticipating Courtney tonight? I'm not sure that we were. Jenny says we were.
I see
We don't
Julia
have,
Carr, Stan. I see Julia Carr is here. Oh, we approved. Never mind.
Okay. So is Julia Carr going to speak for the Bolton Community Fund signs?
No, she was here for the Bikes Not Bombs.
Yep. But we did
Yes.
approve that. So
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I got approval from Chief Nelson, but I'd be more than happy to speak to any questions or concerns.
Now, who is speaking at this moment?
This is Julia Carr here from Bikes Not Bombs.
The board has already approved that.
Okay,
Yeah, we're all set.
thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, well, since we are still waiting for Jeffrey Nichols and we have no,
Dan, can I
Yes.
interrupt? Jeff is having difficulty with his sound, but if you're okay with it, I'll have him step over to my screen.
sure.
Okay. This way, you don't need the headphones.
Do I need to hit?
You do not. And you should be able to hear you.
Good evening, folks. Jeff Nichols, can you hear me, first of all?
Yes, we can.
All right, sorry about the confusion. I was talking to Mike Savageau concerning the signs in the front of our church. Apparently, he had indicated that your board was stating that we were in non-compliance. So basically, I'm here. I sent you a blurb about what we do as far as what we've been doing for 70 years. And I'm here to listen to you folks, actually, to see what concerns you.
Well, actually, I mean, the thing is that the signs keep changing. I noticed that you had one sign that you had an example of, but what appears on the signs keeps changing. And we have sort of a policy that if there's a organization or a business that wants to place a sign, they need to get permission. So this has been a longstanding issue with the church.
Stan, just to that point, we advertise obviously for things like Christmas services, Easter services, things of that nature, and we put signs over our permanent signs to indicate hours and the things of that nature. We also have things like clothing sales, which we also advertise on top of the existing signs. So this is nothing new. We've been doing this for 70 years, just to let you know.
Well, just because you've been doing it for 70 years doesn't make it right.
No, I fully agree with that. If you would permit me, I did look at the signs section of the bylaws. It does mention people. It does mention corporations, but it does not, and it mentions, realtors, but it does not mention churches. So first of all, I'm not even sure whose jurisdiction it is under, but it may not even be under yours. Secondly of all, the only one we're actually out of compliance is number 3. It's ABC or number 3, which is one of the signs is not 20 feet from the road. The reason for that is we'd have to take down every hardwood in the front of the church in order to see it if we backed it up the hill. So that's fairly self-explanatory. The third thing is we have, in the past, we have changed these signs in order to comply with the town rules. For instance, we used to have colored signs. We've made it black and white. Everything we're in compliance with except for the changes. And the changes are just reflection of the different services we have and different goings on, if you will, at the church. Now, it seems to me if I have to come to the board to get a permit so I can have a meeting, a church meeting for Easter, let's say, I mean, this becomes a little bit redundant in my book. I don't think it's inoperable if I have to come to the selectmen for every sign that we would like to reflect over the permit ones. So I think we're barking up a dangerous path here.
No one's asking you to come to every select board meeting for every sign you want, but what I've seen is that there seems to be not only the signs that you change because you plaster over the sign with something and then you plaster it back with the standard one. There are other signs that are there. All we're asking is let's get some understanding and consistency here with what's going on. We don't want to have a free reign of everybody putting signs. I mean, this has been an issue in town. And we just want to make sure everybody is consistent. with what's going on. So we're not asking you to come in for every single sign, but we want to have some understanding of what you're going to do. And if you're going to add additional signs, which you have in the past, what they're going to be. And we have never not approved any sign, but just let's get some understanding of what's going on. Because we have reached out to the church in the past and through Mike Savageau, and Mike Savageau has never gotten any response back. So I just want to get some clear understanding. I mean, the enforcement of the signs needs to be consistent with everybody, whether it's secular or non-secular, you know, that's all I'm asking.
Well, let me just read the last bullet item under the bylaws, under the section of the signs. If literal enforcement results in substantial hardship and if no harm to the public good is evident, waivers may be granted by the Board of Selectmen. What I would therefore ask for you, from you folks, is a waiver so that we can do what we've been doing for 70 years.
With the 2 existing signs that you have and no others.
Let's be very clear about that. We have 2 existing signs, one at the east end, one at the west end.
That's correct.
And when we want to announce special events, we put a sign over the existing sign.
Correct.
And we've been, as I say, if you do not feel we're in compliance by doing that, then I would like guidance from you folks as to what you expect us to do.
Well, I would have expected that Mike Savageau would have provided some of that guidance to you. Obviously, he has not.
He hasn't provided, not that I expected him to, since this step, came from you folks.
Mr. Chairman, that's not true. Mr. Savageau has provided guidance to his contact at the church.
Excuse me, I didn't hear that. Sorry, I didn't hear that.
I said that Mr. Savageau has provided guidance and input to his contact at the church.
Oh, well, I'm the ones in charge of the signs, so we didn't, and I had a long chat with Mike, and I would have expected him to give that to me, Don, and I haven't seen it.
Well, Mr. Savageau gave it to whoever he was told to speak with. He's not responsible for communication amongst church members.
Well, I will check with Mike again, and depending on what he has to say, we'll go forward from there then.
Yeah, perhaps we should just perhaps regroup and have Mike talk to whoever he was speaking with and include you in the conversation. There seems to be some lack of communication in some regard. But all we're asking is from some consistency, because we have had individuals in town who have expressed concerns about the proliferation of signs in town, and I can understand that. We don't want to dissuade anyone's first, second, third, or whatever amendment rights as regards to signs, but we need to have some decorum in town relative to the proliferation of signs, which is an issue. So perhaps we can table this discussion, have Mike.
Just so you know, Stan, I believe you have a copy of what how we use the signs and how we've been using the signs. I believe all 3 of you have a copy of that. That's what I would be going back to Mike to entertain with him. So just so you understand, you have all the information that we were able to give you anyway.
Yes, we have the information. I mean, I have seen some additional signs on your property, so I think we should go back and have table this discussion and allow Mike and whomever he's spoken with and you all to get together. The issue is not that we want to be oppressive and not allow signs, but there needs to be some consistency. And as I had stated earlier, back, I believe it was back in May, we are going to be revising the sign bylaw to make it a bit clearer as to what is and what is not allowed and what we can and what we cannot do. So because the sign bylaw is a bit confusing. But there've been a lot of signs on church property, and we just want to make sure that we're consistent with, we try to be as consistent with town policy as possible. So we appreciate you participating tonight.
Thank you.
But having said that, let's get you, Mike, and whoever Mike has spoken with at the church
It'll
to
just be
engage
me
in
and
the
Mike, yeah.
dialogue to try to clear up any confusion that there is at the moment, because there appears to be some.
Thank you.
Okay,
You're welcome.
Sorry.
No worries.
I'll wrap that up.
Don't even worry, I'll get it.
all right, well, do we have someone from Bolton Community Fund for the placement of yard signs?
Yes, this is Courtney Pepper from the.
Hey, Courtney, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing great.
So, yep, we're just here to request signs. We are hoping to host our annual 5K festival on October the 8th. And so we would like to start putting up some lawn signs.
Do
Okay,
we have
now,
a-
will these lawn signs be placed on residences that you've gotten permission to do so?
Yes, yep, only there.
And how many are you looking to place?
So I can't remember how many we ordered last year, to be honest, but we haven't ordered any more than we did last year. So probably about 50, I'd say.
Okay,
We have a picture of the sign?
I don't have a picture of the sign, sorry. I'm happy to send it along though. We have one from last year.
How big is the sign?
Probably 3 by 2.
is it more along the lines of a campaign sign kind of sign?
Yes, yes, yes. It's the size of a campaign sign, right?
Is it just text or is there,
There's our logo for the 5K festival, and so it's colored. It's 3 colored and text and logo with our website on it.
Are you looking to place signs anywhere else other than the 3 by 2s or?
No, we got permission from the high school last year and the town common to put our longer banners just before the event, and we did that as well.
Well, just so you know, you still need to come before the board for, well, for the high school, you can do what you want based on
Right.
the high school, but for the town common, you still need to come to us.
Okay.
Are you looking to get permission to do that at the town common?
Maybe I need to discuss that with the committee and come back another time.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Yeah, unfortunately, the Park and Rec Commission does not have the authority to grant signs at the common. It's still through the Board of Selectmen, but we're not, as I said, we don't say no, but you gotta come before us.
Yep. I understand.
Okay,
when
great.
is your event?
The event is October 8th. I know we're going to need to come back and ask permission for that, to host that event as well at Shartner Farm. And that will be Saturday, October the 8th.
Okay,
Yeah, so we got time to clean this
Yeah.
up.
that's fine. Okay,
Okay.
that sounds good. Well, do we want to approve the request for the 3 by 2s for now? I would
Can we
say,
see
yeah.
one? We've got time. Can we just see it at the next meeting?
It sounds like those are going up before. They're going up now and the banner goes up closer to the event.
What banner?
It said, Courtney mentioned that they've ordered the signs, the lawn signs. So I think we need to approve those tonight. And then the banner that still needs approval for the common would get placed at a later date anyway, so it can be approved at a later meeting. I'm just suggesting that we approve the lawn signs and then table the banner until they come forward for approval with that.
Bob, how do you feel about that?
Well, characteristically, we get to view the sign before it goes up. This is an event that is months away. And it's not clear to me how waiting till the next meeting to get the signs up will impinge upon the success of the event. Great.
All right, then.
All
I
right,
guess
well
we'll
then,
see you at the next meeting.
why don't we table this for, we have a meeting on July 14th, I believe.
Okay,
And then perhaps we can deal with that plus the banner sign as well.
okay. And hopefully,
Will you have a representation of the banner sign by that time?
yes, we have them at another woman's house. I just don't have them with me now.
Okay, all right.
But yep, we have them in person already. And so
Okay.
maybe we can have the event approved at that meeting as well, if that would.
Sounds good. Well, why don't we table that for the meeting on the 14th of
Okay.
July?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Courtney. All right, next up is Frank, you're up now. A request from Bolton Bean for a sign replacement at 626 Main Street.
Great. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Frank.
Evening.
So as you all know, the original sign was taken down by an auto accident.
Yep.
And I replaced the sign exactly like the other one was, with the exception that we're looking to add a panel on the inside of it as well as the one that was on the outside. And I believe you all have a rendering of what it would look like.
Yep.
Yeah, so the one, and it's obviously not going to say what's in it. That was my sign design person just having fun with me. But it's, so that's it. I mean, the sign is exactly like the one that was there prior. It's just that I'm looking to add that inside panel.
Oh, the N bacon.
Yeah, I actually, yeah, coffee, yeah, the coffee, they put the coffee on the inside, which is normally on the outside, and
Right.
but yeah, those two, yep.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, and the dimensions are on the handwritten piece of paper.
They are, yep, and they're,
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the sign's up, the structure of the sign's up, it looks pretty much the same as it was
Yeah.
before, so.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
I'm cool. All right, so do I have a motion to approve the request from Bolton Bean for the sign replacement at 626 Main?
So moved.
Second, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Roll call,
right.
Sikansky,
Aye.
Winner,
Aye.
Wysocki.
aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
thank you all very much.
Have a good night.
All right, I'll see you at the coffee.
All
Bye-bye.
right, next up is a public hearing on the application of Par 5, Group LLC, 777 South Flager Drive, Suite 500E, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33401, for approval of a special event in accordance with Section 250-16L, Special Events of the Code of the Town of Bolton. The special event is proposed to be held from September 1 through 4th, 2022, and will include a professional golf tournament with 48 golfers on 12 teams on land owned by Escalante, the International LLC, including the International Golf Course, 159 Ballville Road, Bolton, and Twin Springs Golf Course, 295 Wilder Road, identified on Assessor's Map 5A as Parcel 2 and on Assessor's Map 4A as Parcels 1 and 5, and farmland at 0 Ballville Road, identified on Assessor's Map 3A as Parcel 56. Do we have folks from the International present to chat with us about this?
We do. I'll lead off and introduce the others if that's okay with you.
Sure, Kelly. How are you tonight?
I'm good. And I also have some slides to show if
Sure.
it's okay to share my screen.
Sure.
We'll get through the introductions and then I'll go ahead to that. So for the record, my name is Kelly Durfee Cardoza. I'm with Avalon Consulting Group and I'm representing the applicant, which is Par 5 Group. Just for clarification, I know I got promoted to attorney last time, but I really don't have a law degree. I'm a regulatory consultant and a scientist. So that's.
Kelly, if you don't sue me for defamation of character, I'd be quite grateful.
And I don't know if it was a upgrade or a downgrade. So, so I have with me tonight Steve Brennan, who I think all of you know. He's the general manager at the International, and also Elcio Silva, who is one of the owners of Escalante, the International. And then we have David Benny, who's the vice president of event delivery with Live Golf. I know that I saw his name here somewhere. And also Mike Goggin with the Par 5 group, who spoke the last time that we were here. We're here before you tonight with a request for approval of a special event as defined under section 250-16L of the Bolton bylaws. And just a bit of a background, in 1997, the Limited Recreation Business District was created. And as part of that district, there was a provision for special events. I wasn't here in 1997, but I was here in November of 1999 when the select board, then you were the selectman, approved a special permit for the International, which provided for the construction of the new 18-hole golf course and also allowed for special events. So that brings us to 2022. I guess you all know of the process of the bankruptcy and Escalante purchasing the property. Well, now Live Golf is proposing to bring the fourth stop on their new professional golf invitational series to the International in Bolton. So the applicant, which is Par 5 Group, has been engaged by Live Golf to manage the tournament that will be held over Labor Day weekend. It's part of an international 8-event series. There will be, the first was held in June in London. The next is in Portland next week. And then it will go through October in North America, Europe, Middle East, and Asia. It is a 12 4-man golf teams. And so there are 48 golfers that play. It's held over the 3 days. They'll play a shotgun start for a total of 54 holes. So basically, all of the golfers will start playing at the same time. So rather than having golf go through the day, there'll be some time for people to visit in the fan village that's there. They'll watch the golf event, and then there'll be some time in the evening, and there'll be a music stage, an eco village, and other things that people can visit. As we said before, there's a daily attendance cap of 6,500 people. That will include the staff, the volunteers, the vendors, the spectators, the players, and any public security that we have, public safety officials that we have. So while this is a new style of golf tournament, the staff and the organizers really are well qualified. They're seasoned professionals who have directed large-scale golf and other athletic events throughout the world. And Mike is a Massachusetts resident. He'll serve as tournament director. And he's done that before. In 2017, he was the operations director at Salem Country Club for the Senior Open. Just to clarify, applicant is Par 5 Group. They'll be the event coordinator, and they will be responsible for everything that occurs at the International, at the remote parking sites, and they'll also be funding all of the details. So the fire details, the police details, all of that will be funded by the applicant, and there will be no cost to the town of Bolton for this event. Let me get my slides here for you. Can everybody see this now? Let's
Yep.
see. But I have to go to slideshow. Hold on. Okay, so this is about what I just talked about, that there are 12 teams and 48 players. It's a shotgun start. Again, Mike is the tournament director, and he has a team of well-qualified people who support him in that role. Live Golf is based in Florida. It's the CEO is Greg Norman, businessman and former golfer. And I think what's important for you here is to see that the people who are listed as partners at Live Golf have experience with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the New York Yankees, The head of security has worked for the FBI, was in the Navy, and has been the head of security in the Masters for about 12 years.
If you're advancing your slides, at least I can't see anything other than the first one.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if anyone else has that problem. I often have problems.
Okay, well, then you'll see it this way, but then you see all of my, I don't think it really matters if you see the top of PowerPoint. So as long as that's okay with people.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Steve Brennan is the manager at the International. And then there are a number of partners, and these partners are, put her on the porch because she's soaking. I'm sorry. These partners are many national vendors, but also with some local ties. So the off-street parking and the traffic consulting will be provided by Country Club Services. They're the same people who just finished up for the US Open in Brookline. They had 30,000 spectators per day, so much larger than what we're talking about here. Wastewater services will be by United Site Services. Their world headquarters is in Westboro, and they are the nation's leader in portable toilet restroom services. Refuse disposal will be by Titan Events, Blue Strike Environmental, and they'll offer strategic planning and recycling, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But they'll also be using their local partner, which is E.L. Harvey. Traffic planning and security is headed by the Bolton Police Department and the Massachusetts State Police. And then the private security will be by a company called Andy Frame Services, who has been a national leader in private security for more than 90 years. And then fire protection will be by Bolton and Regional Fire and Emergency Management Services. And there's a pretty robust fire protection system in place at the International. And we'll talk about that in a minute. This is the site plan. And we have shared this site plan with pretty much anybody who will listen, since about the middle of March. When the event was announced, Steve Brennan contacted Dawn and people in Town Hall, and we've tried to make the information available. As part of the lead up to this hearing tonight, we spoke with Mike Savageau, the building inspector. We attended a hearing at the Board of Health. We've spoken with the Neshoba Associated Boards of Health. We met with the planning board last night. We've talked to the fire chief and the police chief, and those meetings really have been ongoing. And we've also talked with the staff for the Conservation Commission, because we do anticipate going to the Conservation Commission because there are wetlands on the International and at Twin Springs.
And the farm.
And the farm. Thank you. So what we're proposing here is that the existing infrastructure will be used. So this is Ballville Road on my map. This is Wilder Road. So here's Twin Springs. Here's the farm. Here's the main entrance into the International. This is the lodge and the conference center at this location. And each of the existing infrastructures has been kind of provided with a new use. The media will be at the conference center. This event will be televised, probably broadcast over 138 countries and territories. So it will be very widely seen. The conference center will be the media center. The fireplace room will be serving as the clubhouse. The main clubhouse will serve as the volunteer headquarters. And there'll be a hospitality tent for the members on the back patio. The golf course and the facility will be turned over to the Par 5 group on August 24th. So the members will stop playing golf at that point in time, with the exception of perhaps some rounds on the 9 holes of the Pines that will be open at that point in time. But primarily, once it gets turned over, it will be, that will be the opportunity for these venues to be constructed for viewing decks, hospitality tents, the portable restrooms, the video boards, concessions, music stage, and the first aid area. We anticipate there'll be a daily maximum of 6,500 people that will be on site during the 3 days that the tournament is open to the public. There will be, let's look at the schedule here. On Wednesday, August 24th, we close to membership play. On Wednesday, August 31st, there's a practice round and a draft party. That party is for the members who are playing, for the players, the golfers who are playing golf, to choose members of their teams. It's not for members of the international. So it will be a very small event, probably less than 100 people. That practice round will not be open to the public. On Thursday, September 1st, there's an official pro-am. So the professionals and amateur golfers will be playing. Tee times start at 10 o'clock. There'll be practice rounds. Those also will be closed to the public. On September 2nd, on Friday, September 2nd and Saturday, September 3rd, Sunday, September 4th, the schedule will be that the public parking lots open either at 9:30 in the morning or at 10 a.m. The gates in the hospitality tents will open at 10 a.m. And the first round of the shotgun will be approximately 1 o'clock. The entertainment afterwards will differ each night, but there'll be live music. People will be able to go into the fan village, and that will run from about 5:30 to 9 on Friday night, and probably on Saturday from 6 to 10, and Sunday about 7:30 to 10. There will be closing ceremonies at 6:30 and a closing concert. Monday, September 4th, in case of inclement weather or any other tournament delay, it could play into Monday, and that would be open to the public, but that is not the expectation. And then the international will open back up to their members on September 5th. Spectator services will include the hospitality tents, the portable restrooms. Access to those locations will be by ticket only. There will not be people walking into the property so that they can limit the attendance. There'll be first aid stations at the Fan Village and at the 16th Green. And the Bolton Fire Department has been involved in the planning for medical emergencies. And there will be an EMS ambulance company, including paramedics on site. And again, those will be paid for by the applicant.
Yeah.
There's an inclement weather policy that will be in place, and there'll be a professional meteorologist on staff throughout the event. They have, if need be, there will be an evacuation watch or warning or evacuation in effect, and play would be suspended should there be lightning or difficult weather. There will be an area designated for those wishing to exercise their First Amendment rights during the event. We know that that's a possibility. That's been discussed with the police chief and with the state police, and the location and the details of those areas will be coordinated with local, state, and regional police. The one part of the schedule that I wanted to add for you is that we will start construction, assuming permits are granted, in mid-July. And we think that there will be some cleanup after the event for about 30 days after the event is finished. Their intent is to leave it in a better condition than they found it, and hopefully find a way of reusing most of the materials that were used, flowers, those kinds of things that are used during the event. The final aspect here is that there's an economic benefit to the community and a charitable contribution being made by Live Golf.
Yes.
There's an estimate that the regional spending will be about $30 million. That certainly will not all be in Bolton. That will be from people flying in, hotels, restaurants, and expenditures at the event. There will be a charitable contribution of $1 million from Live to support education, environmental sustainability, golf development, and the well-being of communities. So we don't have a lot of history because this is all pretty new, but we know that in London, they focused on youth mental health and food insecurity in the two towns that were closest to where the golf course, where the golf event was held. The event in Portland is next week, and they will announce the charitable contributions after that event. But we know that the money will be contributed for this one event during this 1 year, and that there will be a professional group who is tasked with identifying and assisting charities who are interested in becoming involved. And there's a website that we've put at the bottom. Any local charities who wish to learn more, they can send an email to csr@livegolf.com. And then there's another way for groups or organizations to make money during the event. They will be paying $200 per person per day, which would then be donated to groups or organizations or charities for on-site support. And that's primarily parking and other things that will be needed. So if there's a group of, a hockey team, an athletic group, whatever it is, who'd like to do that, they can reach out to the tournament director and find out about that information. Until the permits have been granted, of course, none of this gets moved along. But as soon as we get to that point, then they'll be working on these pieces. So I'd like to move now to consistency with your zoning bylaw, the special events bylaw. And so the special event must be have a total expected attendance of 500 or greater persons using the golf course, and is permitted upon issuance of written approval by the selectmen. And the conditions or the criteria for you to evaluate are adequate off-street parking, adequate wastewater disposal, traffic control measures for the roads leading to the facilities, adequate refuse disposal, crowd control and security, and provisions for adequate fire protection. So I'd just like to briefly go through those. The first is the off-street parking. The primary parking area at this point is the Lancaster Fairgrounds, where the Bolton Fair is held. There have been some discussions with Chief Nelson and the state police as to what the best location for the off-site parking is. There were, in the packet that you received, there were some references to parking being in the fields adjacent to Old Bay Road. The one thing about how this parking plan works is that Chief Nelson and the other public safety officers basically tell us what they're comfortable with. And so what we were told today, there was a pretty substantial meeting with the state police and with Chief Nelson, is that he would prefer to see the Lancaster Fairgrounds used as parking. And so that will be the primary parking for the public. In the table that was provided in your application, you'll see that there's more than twice as many parking spaces as are needed. That provides flexibility for the chief to make decisions. It provides flexibility for the organizers kind of to make changes over the 3 days if they find that there is more demand, if we happen to have a rain event and it gets wet. So there are options for them at that point. Once people park at the Lancaster Fairgrounds, they will be loaded onto shuttle buses and driven to the farm across the street on Ballville and Sawyer Roads, across from the International. Before they get onto the buses, they'll go through a magnetometer and they'll be screened with a wand. So there also are a number of items that will not be allowed onto the property. And so all of that preliminary screening will be done at the fairgrounds or any other place where people will enter into the bus system. The next slide shows you, this is Ballville Road and Sawyer Road. The plan is for buses to drive in here, queue along, allow people to get off of the buses, go through the queue system and enter across Ballville Road, across the first golf hole onto the property. From there, they'll be able to walk to the fan village. So there is some additional parking here if we need extra parking spaces. But one of the things that we will do is we've had the wetlands flagged at the farm. We've had the wetlands flagged at Twin Springs. And it is our intent to not be parking within the 100-foot buffer zone for the wetland resources. We haven't gone to the Conservation Commission, but we have discussed that with their agent. And the expectation is that we'll be filing a request for determination and going before them. They'll be parking at Twin Springs within the golf course, and that will be primarily for not members of the general public, but for operational partners, tournament staff, club staff, volunteers, and some of the members at the International. And so there will be a shuttle stop here. There will be ADA parking. And we know that there will be 500 vehicles that can park on the driving range. There are 612 that can be parked here on this portion of the Twin Springs Golf Course. And then there are another 812 spaces that will be here, and there'll be a satellite entry for vendors and some satellite parking at this location. People that take the shuttle here will go down Wilder Road and then down Ballville Road. And these are primarily credentialed parkers who get in this location, and they'll go into the golf course through the main entrance of the International. There's also parking at the clubhouse. There will be parking here on the Pines Golf Course, the 9th hole, for staff, rules officials, TV and media staff. There'll be a shuttle stop for ADA parking, members, volunteers, and staff at this location in front of the old clubhouse. The International's TV and media will be at the cart barn, and players and caddies and VIPs will park in the primarily the main parking lot for the International. The shuttle buses will operate during advance week as needed. So they'll be available if needed Monday through Sunday, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And from the fairgrounds as needed. During tournament week or for those 3 days, there'll be shuttles from Twin Springs from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Monday through Wednesday when there really isn't much going on. And then Thursday through Sunday, 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. And the fairgrounds, similarly, Monday through Thursday from 8 to 10 p.m. and Friday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. So the next thing that I'd like to work towards, and I guess my summary here is that there will be adequate off-site parking. There'll be no parking on Ballville Road. When we get to talking about how the traffic control measures will be instituted, you'll see that there will be a significant number of police details to make sure that there's no on-street parking. So the next aspect we have is provisions for adequate wastewater disposal. The International has an on-site wastewater treatment plant. It has a capacity of 22,500 gallons per day. But that would not be enough to manage the number of people that are on the property. So there will be staff making sure that there is no excess use of the wastewater treatment plant. And there will be a significant number of restrooms that are brought onto the property. We believe that there'll be more than 100 portable restrooms, which are kind of shown on your plan here in the middle. And then there'll be more than 10 ADA accessible restroom trailers that will be installed across the site. So each restroom every day will be inspected and cleaned. The restrooms will be pumped by USS out of Westboro. They will take that waste and dispose of it in a tank at United Site Services in Foxborough. And then it will be transferred to the Cranston wastewater treatment plant. So there will be no connection to the existing wastewater treatment plant at the International from this system. There also will be hydration stations. So there will be potable water provided for people at the site. They'll be able to refill their reusable bottles and obtain potable water. That also will be brought onto the property daily, because there is a limited amount of water provided by the public water supply system at the International. So, as I said before, as soon as the event was announced, Chief Nelson and Mike Goggin started working on traffic control measures. And there's a detailed traffic management plan. The plan has been informed by the experiences that Mike has had, as well as the information that's been provided from the state police and others from the recent US Open. And it's really based on a plan that addresses early, constant input and notification ahead of the event, good signage during the event, and then a well-organized traffic management team that will communicate throughout the event. So we know that we've been able to operationally schedule some events to limit traffic impacts during the peak hours. Unlike a more traditional golf event, this is a shotgun. So people will start golfing at 1 o'clock. So we anticipate that people will arrive sometime between 9:30 and 1 o'clock, but not all at the same time, hopefully. And then there will be music and other activities afterwards. So they're hoping that people will stay for some period of time after the event, and everyone's not going to leave at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock when the golf event is over. So there's been a lot of efforts in understanding how many signs will be placed and how many variable message boards will be placed and how many police details will be placed. The details are provided in your document, and I'll just summarize them. But again, I want to make it clear that the number of details and the locations for them really is going to be dictated by public safety. We know that there will be 25 local and municipal details and probably 25 to 40 state details during the day throughout the event. We expect details at most intersections from Route 495 to Route 117 to the Lancaster Fairgrounds, and at Ballville Road to the International. We expect that there'll be portable variable message boards at exit 70 northbound and southbound, at exit 67, at exits 55A, at Wilder and Ballville Roads, at Wilder and Wattaquatic, at Main Street and Wilder Roads. We've provided one mailing to neighbors within 300 feet of the International to tell them that it's coming and to give them, it's just a one-page piece of information, just to tell them it's coming and to give them some contact information. We anticipate that Ballville Road will be closed to traffic during the event. So for people to kind of just get home, they will be given credentials, hang tags. Each family will be given 2, and if they need more, they just need to say we have more cars, and they'll be given additional hang tags. And that will affect the people on Ballville, Sawyer, and probably Oak Trail as well. So there will be an effort to reach out to all of those neighbors, give them some additional information about what they should expect, and to make sure that they've gotten the hang tags so that they'll be able to go home. And once those tags are on their cars, they will be able to pass through the security and the traffic details with no problem at all. There'll be large formatted posted signs at a number of intersections. And there'll be portable lighting at any unlit intersections, so that there won't be any concerns about police details basically standing in the dark while people are leaving the event. What we have here is a map that basically shows general routes for people to get to the fairgrounds here for the general parking. The plan is to keep people on 117 until they get there. They'll be on the shuttle buses.
Democrat.
They'll come and turn onto 110 and then follow this path to Ballville Road to the International. The possible shuttle routes will be vetted by the police. And I think this is one that's fairly close. But I wanted you to know that these traffic control measures have been greatly considered by the event organizers and also by the public safety professionals. So the next part of the criteria is refuse disposal. And one of the provisions for Live Golf is that they want to be sustainable. So they will be focusing on recycling.
I have Tiger Woods clubs.
They'll be focusing on recycling, sorting, and upcycling. So there will be refuse and there will be refuse disposal, but there'll be a big effort on site for there to be some sorting so that the amount of what actually is trash that goes off property will be limited. And the hope will be that through recycling, everything will leave the property, but it will be able to be reused. There'll also be an eco-village that will educate people about the benefits of recycling and opportunities for that. There'll be clearly marked waste cans that will encourage the initial separation of waste, and there will be staff that will help point out to people the locations for doing this. And as I said before, E.L. Harvey will be providing the waste management services in cooperation with Titan Events and Blue Strike Environmental. And that those dumpsters will be emptied after golf events up until midnight. There will not be any dumpsters or activities between midnight and 5 a.m. And then they will start up again at 5 a.m. if needed. The schedule is provided in your documents. From August 21st to September 1st, it's 6 a.m. to 12 a.m. for refuse removal. And September 22nd through 4th, it'll be 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then that 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. window, sometime after golf. The next criteria is crowd control and security. The Bolton Police Department, led by Chief Nelson, has met several times with event coordinators again, as recently as this morning, and involved state and regional law enforcement partners in the traffic and security planning for the event. Private security on the property will be provided by Andy Frayne Services. We anticipate that there will be 100 plus posts with 135 staff
Going to protect my house.
from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And there will be 12 to 15 posts with approximately 20 staff from 8 p.m. to 10 a.m. So there will be security on the property at all times during the event. As I said, people who park and vendors, everyone who goes onto the property will go through a magnetometer. This is a typical magnetometer setup. Their bags will be checked to make sure that they don't have anything in them that they're not supposed to bring. And there's a very extensive list that was included in your application. This way, they'll be checked before they get onto the bus. So if they have something that's not allowed, they can go back to their cars and leave it. They'll go through the magnetometers and be cleared, and then they will also have their credentials scanned. Every ticket will have a chip inside of it so that there will be scanning of the tickets. So this is part of the security that will occur at all entrances to the facility. The security really breaks down to starting at the bottom, I guess, this volunteer access control that we had talked about. There'll be Live Golf volunteers who will check those credentialed access points inside the secure areas. Then there'll be the private security that we just pointed out with the magnetometers, and those will be provided by Andy Frayne Services. There'll be major and minor emergency support, access control, spectator oversight, player security, and both inside and outside the ropes, and then shipment security. All shipments that will come to the facility during the event will be relocated to another area on the exterior of the property. Each of those will be screened prior to delivery to anyone on the property, whether it's a FedEx to the International or it's a shipment to one of the players at the event. All of that will be screened. The next level is the municipal level. That's the Bolton Police Department, the neighboring police departments. We have SEMLEC on here, but my understanding is it's going to be primarily the state police who will be providing the backup to the municipal. That again will be the town road management, the closures of those roads that we talked about, player security if it's needed, high priority access control in the locker rooms, inside the ropes, special guests, the selectmen, local officials, politicians, state officials, federal officials are protected by state and federal police as is shown above. So if the governor or someone else decides to come, the state police would be assigned to him. And if there are federal level special guests, ex-presidents, national political figures, there will be FBI, Homeland Security, and Secret Service provided for them. I think it's important for people to understand that when they planned this event, they took into consideration the safety and security of all of the people who will be here, from the players to the spectators to the neighbors who will have traffic in their community, and also to the safety of the people who are attending. So there'll be first aid stations, which are located near the clubhouse. There will be the inclement weather policy, and there also will be paramedics and EMTs on property should there be any medical concerns. There's access control for tickets and parking. So as we've talked about, parking will be complimentary to all attendees, but everyone will need to have a ticket. and go through a credential scanner at the designated entry locations at the property perimeter. The list of prohibitive items is so long that I promise you I won't read all of those. But basically, it's the same thing if you went to an event at Gillette. If you were going to watch the Patriots, they would require that you didn't wear weird helmets, masks, or costumes, that you didn't have any projectiles with you, have any illegal drugs or substances or firearms or alcohol with you. The parking credentials will provide specific access to designated areas. They'll all have RFID chips so that it will designate which areas people have access to. And then finally, again, the deliveries will require a tournament delivery pass to access the property. I'm hoping that we've been able to give you enough information and then we can hear questions from you. I just wanted to kind of quickly summarize that we were obligated to provide notice to the select board within 45 days of the event, and that was done on June 9th, more than certainly the required 45 days in advance. And while it was not required, we discussed with your town planner and with the staff in town hall, with Jenny, how we should provide public information. So we did two things. We did a public notice stating that the select board would be holding a public hearing, and that was published in the Bolton Independent yesterday and a week ago. A cut sheet of that was provided to town hall staff earlier today. And then we provided notices to the 300 abutters who live, the abutters who live within 300 feet of the International. And those would be people who live in Clinton, Lancaster, as well as people who live in Bolton. And they received envelopes with the notice from the select board and just a one-page piece of information that gave them a very brief overview of what's going on, and some emails where they could contact people. So we're hoping that that will have given adequate public notice. It was not required, but we wanted to go ahead and do it. And then I'll ask any of the members of our team to answer questions that the chairman may wish to pose to us.
Kelly, thank you very much. Very thorough presentation, and obviously you have covered all of. It seems like you covered all of the bases for having such an event here in Bolton. I guess it would seem that for an event of this magnitude, you have all the bases covered, and I think you've been very thorough. I think the elephant in the room here is who the sponsor of this tournament is, and while the select board can't weigh in on that, we have no ability to weigh in on what you've determined and who you want to have as the sponsor of this tournament. I think there is a lot of concern amongst at least some residents in terms of what's been done, and the fact that the International Escalante has decided to participate in this event. So from the perspective of the selectmen, and we've had a lot of pressure in terms of being able to make a statement pro or against this. I mean, we really can't. I mean, you are a private entity. You are, at least for the moment, following Bolton laws, state laws, national laws. Whoever that gentleman is who keeps piping in with comments, he needs to stop. And Jenny, you can, my authority, you can get him out of this meeting. I'm sick and tired of hearing that individual piping in with crap. So you can get him out of the meeting, as far as I'm concerned. My apologies.
Stan, not to interrupt you, Stan, it was a guy on an iPhone. I just saw him, just in case Jenny needs some help locating him. Sorry to interrupt you, Stan. But it was a guy on an iPhone, so if she wants.
Thank you, Mr. Ayotte. I appreciate your assistance there. So let's get him off this thing. This is not the forum. Anyway, getting back, what you've done as far as the event itself, I see no reason why we can't approve. You're not violating any laws. You're going by the book. You've done an excellent job in terms of that. There is concern amongst individuals, and there are 52 people on this meeting, which is unprecedented for a select board meeting, in terms of, I believe, either pro or con based upon the organizer of this event. But I have, at the moment, no specific questions. I may have something a bit later on. My colleagues, Emily, Bob, do you have any comments that you'd like to move forward with?
I do have a couple questions, actually. Kelly, I'm just curious if you have, and I know you touched on this a little bit, if you have any takeaways or lessons learned from the recent event in Brookline. I know that was a greater scale, but because this is the first big event, here in town, is there anything that we can take away from Brookline, as far as traffic control, crowd control, things like that?
I'll just take a quick stab at that. So I think that they're just now starting to download that information, and we got some of that from the state police today. There was some limited vandalism at night. So the thought is that they're going to need to bring in some additional private security for the evenings. But I think there was a First Amendment free speech area. And I'm told that the number of people that attended was a handful, and they were there for a very short period of time handing out pamphlets. So there was some concern, as Stan says, the elephant in the room is this, and what do people think about it? And there was an expectation at the open that there might be some people speaking, and they were, and that's their right to do that. But it was not unruly, and it was not a large number of people. So Mike, I don't know if there's anything else that we can share. I know they're just starting now to kind of get through that process.
Right. Excuse me. Thanks. It's Mike Goggin with the Par 5 group, the applicant group. I was able to connect with a gentleman that I've worked with. His name is Don Donovan. He's the director of security for the USGA, following up immediately after the open on Monday, just to kind of gauge, his feedback on how it went overall, in the event in general, but specifically as it pertains to our event. And I think that they certainly were very aware, and there was, plenty of comments and what they were seeing, and they were prepared for that, and obviously being flexible and adjusting as needed based on what the week looked like and how it played out. But ultimately, as he said, it thankfully didn't pan out, to be as much of a threat as I think that they had prepared for. That for the most part, the fans were pretty supportive of those folks, and there were obviously a handful that were not, and there were areas for those folks as well that were able to participate and voice that. But you're absolutely right in thinking that using the U.S. Open and local as an example is certainly a very, very good data point for us. We're also going, we have a lot of those same vendors that will be here to be able to build off of that. I think that it's also another really good 2 pieces of data in that we'll be in Portland, Oregon next week, same vendors with the actual live product in Portland. And then again, we'll be in New Jersey at the end of the month in July. And so we will have, between those three data sets, really good information to go off of and to be able to adjust and have about 30 days prior to our opening that will allow us to make the appropriate adjustments. And again, we'll even make those during the week.
Great. My other question is, I know there were some comments from the planning board, and I know you just met with them. I think, Kelly, you had talked a little bit about how some of the concerns about traffic control had been incorporated into your presentation tonight. For us as the select board, are there any open items that the planning board has requested that we need to take into consideration, or have those been incorporated into your presentation?
So the planning board asked us if we would try and meet with the neighbors a little bit because of the concern of one of the neighbors. And I think that we absolutely intend to do that. It's hard before the permit is granted to go and do all of those things. So it isn't like we're trying to keep information from anyone. But I know that Valerie talked yesterday about putting the application that we submitted online for people to see. I don't know if it goes under the planning board or the select board, but I would be supportive of that so that people would get that information. They wanted potentially some additional variable message boards at different locations. And by the time we met with them last night, by the time Mike met with the police this morning, those were already in there anyway. So I don't believe, I'd have to look at her letter one more time and see if there's anything else.
It was mostly regarding traffic control. And I know you talked about that quite a bit. And it sounded like maybe those comments or concerns were considered in the parking and shuttling and police detail plans.
In all honesty, most of that was included in our application. I just don't think I did a really good job last night at sharing that with them. And they had those questions.
Okay.
It was really hard to know what it was. It isn't like we got all this stuff together today. This was all here. I just kind of glazed over it. And it was really the part that they needed more information on. So.
Got it. My other question, I believe you in the presentation said there would be 2 first aid stations. Is that correct? Was there input from our public safety on that? Is that enough for this size of an event? Has there been a user group or a local municipal group that has kind of given you feedback about what would be needed for?
I'm going to turn that over to Mike.
Yeah, we've spoken with Chief Legender, and the plan will continue to evolve as this thing gets built out and planned out. But there will be a primary medical point for folks to find or use or as needed. Those are spectator access points as well. But there will also be a significant mobile contingency and ambulance and EMS presence, command units, that will be able to activate, and deploy out of the golf course. And that there's a whole larger component beyond just the simple, kind of the medical stations that'll be available to spectators and public and vendors that will be on the grounds. The medical response will be much more significant than just those simple two kind of locations. It'll be full accessibility to the entire property and all planned out as far as from all events and all perspectives and all potential issues will all be ready to deploy.
Emily, if I can add to that, I heard from Chief Legendre late this afternoon. Overall, he did say he's comfortable with the plan that's been proposed by Par 5. There are details to be sorted out as you would expect, and some details, further details that he'd like to discuss, but overall he has no concerns.
Okay. My final question is regarding the charitable contributions. I know, Kelly, you shared an email that local orgs can reach out to. Will there be outreach? I know you said there would be a consultant that will be working on that portion. will they be doing outreach, and who will they be working with to decide what are the highest need local organizations in the area? Like, how does that whole process work?
Mike,
Oh
do you
yeah, I
want to
can.
do that
Yeah,
one?
yeah. I didn't want to step on you. I think that you know, there is a national and eventually a local component of what will involve kind of the research and outreach to hit those targets that this this charitable giving will consist of. We'll also, or obviously already starting to have some open communication with folks in trying to understand, you know, greatest local need, you know, is indeed, you know, can cover a lot of ground, but I think that we're already in the process of finding some pretty specific targets that will definitely benefit. And specifically, you know, we're going to try and work from kind of the international out, right? So we're going to focus these very, very locally and then work regionally. But the goal is obviously to make that impact here.
Great. I think that's everything I have currently. Thank you.
I've got one question. You mentioned that there would be the start of construction of temporary structures in mid-July. You're going to be doing that while the International is still active with its membership. So how are you going to go about doing that to minimize the disruption and to the neighbors?
So in July, in addition to starting construction here, we're going to be closing down at least half of the Pines Golf Course. So as many of you know, there is a renovation coming of the Pines. So we will have less member play during that time period. And the other thing is, I think that a similar question to this came up at the planning board last night. While there are a number of venues being built, we don't anticipate that this will be, there will be vehicles coming, trucks coming, but this will not be traffic like during the public time when the event is open. These will be contractors who will come, and the International did a pretty big renovation of the fireplace room. There's adequate capacity for people to come back and forth and park on the property and do those things. So we don't anticipate that this will be much larger than some of the events that were held with the former owners, where there were weddings on a very regular basis, as well as large tournaments frequently.
But I didn't ask it this way, but basically all this activity will occur during regular business hours. It won't be going on during the nights and weekends leading up to the event.
Mike?
Yeah, I think that it certainly could happen on the weekends, but it will not be happening at night. I mean, these crews are, you know, will be out on the golf course, you know, building temporary structures. You know, it'll start with flooring and structures, and will be pretty limited to that crew for that longer period of time. You know, as we get closer, more folks will be coming in. That's part of the reason why we will try to close things down on the 24th. The kind of the very significant movements will take place towards the end, but all of that, you know, we have membership vacate the lots and such so that we can fill those areas with that equipment and get it off of the roads. We won't have queued trucking or cars or anything on off of the International property, and we will have, you know, we have access to some of those areas and some of the work and that we can offset if we do need to create some more space than what we have available.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from my colleagues? Well done. All right, well, we have now 53 individuals. I want to remind, I'm going to open it up for just a limited bit of audience participation and asking questions. I do want to remind everyone that this is this hearing is to discuss the event itself and the logistics and the international's ability to pull this off Labor Day weekend. This is not a discussion as to, as I said earlier, the elephant in the room of who is sponsoring this tournament. I know there's a lot of strong opinions about this, but this is not the forum for this discussion. If individuals in this town have an issue with the International on what they're doing and how they're conducting their business, they need to direct that directly to the International. This board is here to discuss the event, the logistics of the event, and whether or not the event can be pulled off, regardless of our personal opinions of whether or not we either approve or disapprove of what the International is doing in Escalante. So on that, I will allow a few questions if it's related to logistics, questions about the tournament, questions about parking, questions about whatever. But I will not allow discussions of the tournament sponsors. That should be directed directly to Escalante and the International at this point in time. So if someone has a question regarding the tournament specifically.
And
yes.
if I may, there's a number of people participating who do not have their names attached to their logins. So I would like to make sure that everyone who's does speak identifies themselves by name, and also I'd like to make sure we limit it to people who live in Bolton. So if they could tell their address too.
Absolutely, absolutely. That they need to identify themselves by name and by address. And if they can't do that, they can't speak.
Thank you.
I believe I see Mr. Nishway has his hand up. Ken, how are you? You're on mute.
I'm doing well. How are you folks doing?
Very good, Ken.
My name is Ken Nishway. I'm an abutter of the golf course, separated by Wattaquatic Road. I'm a farmer. In fact, we farm about 4 acres of sweet corn on the farm where there's going to be some parking. We've always understood that if there was a tournament that we wouldn't be able to grow some corn that year. And I've been working with Steve Brennan on this as well. But not only am I an abutter farmer, but I was on the planning board for 5 years and on the board of selectmen for 9 years. And the International has always been a very good neighbor. They're the largest landowner in town. They're the biggest taxpayer in town. And I've always supported everything they've done because they have always worked very close with us and very close with the entire town. They work closely with the fire department, the police department over the years, with the different owners. I remember talking to Brian Lynch, one of the former owners, Dan Weedock, and he always wanted to have Tiger Woods come and play the Tiger holes or the Tiger, yeah. And we always kind of felt that there was going to be a tournament at one point down there. And again, I'm fully supporting what they're planning on doing. And I'd like to see them continue. Would like to see them become successful. There's been some trying times, and the previous owner went bankrupt. So, like I say, they've always been a very good neighbor. And again, I fully support this whole plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Does anyone else have a question?
Ann, can I just?
Yes, Jenny.
I have my hand up because I just want to educate everybody on how to raise your hand properly because of the large number of people in the room. If you can use Alt-Y, it'll organize everybody so that they come to the top of the queue as soon as they raise their hand. And I also wanted to read a comment from Rich Dutta that came into me that says that he'd like to thank, yes.
The comment, do you have an address from him?
I don't, so I will get that address and I'll be back.
Yeah, thank you, Jay, for raising that. We received quite a number of emails this afternoon, both for and against the tournament. Actually, there were many more for as opposed to opposed. One individual asked us to read his email. I am not going to be reading any of those emails because if I have to read one, I have to read all of them, and we'll be here probably till Saturday. So I'm not going to do that.
I do have an address. It's Mr. Dutta's address is 376 Aquatic Hill Road. And he just would like to thank Liv for sending a notice about the event to his home ahead of time. And he's looking forward to the event.
Okay, thank you. Mary Compton, you had your hand up.
Thank you. I'm Mary Compton. I live at 388 Wilder Road in Bolton. And I'm one of the neighbors that I would really welcome the opportunity to attend a meeting. My concern is I back up right onto the golf course. It didn't used to seem so close, except there's been a whole lot of clear cutting up there lately. So it looks like a scene out of the Lorax. But my concern is, how are you going to maintain the security of the people who abut directly onto the course? As far as our property lines and making sure that people aren't wandering around and that kind of thing, because our backyard is essentially on the greens at this point or on the course. I don't golf, so I don't know the proper terminology, but so that's my primary concern. The whole tagline of this organization is golf, but louder. And I'm really worried about what that's going to mean for those of us who live in such close proximity. Thank you.
So you want to address that?
Mike, do you want to go ahead and do that?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. Yeah, I think, I appreciate the question. I know that we'll have a very significant component of both private and local and state police, both on the property and surrounding the property. We will also have, in terms of access from the outside to the roads around the golf course and access to the entry points, that will all be secured and credentialed access only for residents and folks that have credentialed access and the shuttles to those points. Intentionally trying to limit and very much decompress the amount of traffic that's going to be happening on those roads, but also from a safety standpoint to limit those vehicles and access for folks that are not a part of the event. The access to residences and locations outside of the property from the inside will be monitored throughout the entire tournament, and anyone that the whole property will have rope and stake and security points and be under monitor in terms of folks traveling in places that are not where we'd like them. So we'll have folks on the ground throughout the entire event to make sure that that's not happening. And in terms of golf but louder, I think it's I think that what's important to kind of really push on this is that we'll be out on the golf course and on the property really for a much less amount of time than what is typical. The shotgun format allows for 4.5 hours, a little over 4.5 hours of actual play on the golf course. And then those folks will start to condense and get back towards, our fan village and the practice areas where we have some more of the experiential kind of après golf hangout spaces and live music and such. So the golf course will become, the outside perimeter of that play will shut down much earlier, and we'll start to compress around that area where the egress will consist of with the shuttles and everything else from there. So it'll be much more condensed than the entire golf course for the duration of those 12 hours that will be open.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Heaton, I believe your hand's up.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Dick Heaton, 178 Ballville Road. My wife and I are abutters to the property, and we are very conflicted. We support the proposal that's being presented, although we do have some concerns and request consideration by the selectmen, that we be given information to understand how this will affect our lives and how we can support the overall program. The international has been important to us. We were members at one point. I was instrumental in getting the property rezoned, and I recognized how important a tournament such as this can be to the international and can be to Bolton. I was really impressed with the presentation this evening. I think you did an excellent job. I listened to the planning board meeting last night, and I think you did a good job there. I would request that you continue to communicate what's happening so that we understand it and can be supportive of your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Heaton. Anyone else? If there are no other questions, I will conclude this portion of the meeting. The board is being asked to formally approve the request by the International to hold this course. As I had said, we're here to primarily deal with the approval based upon the event and not the minutia that's surrounding the event or the elephant that's in the room. So it appears that the International Escalante is following Massachusetts state law, federal law, and Bolton bylaws, and has met with all the various boards and committees and have gotten their approval. So I see no reason why we cannot approve the application to have the event that they're asking for on Labor Day weekend. I, however, will reserve that the International Escalante, especially Escalante, is having a similar event with the Live tournament at their club in Oregon this coming weekend, or next weekend, I should say. And if anything goes sideways with that event in Oregon, then we will be asking Escalante and the International to come back to our meeting on July 14th to discuss any potential issues that have arisen at the tournament that they have at their club in Oregon, which I believe is called Beaver Creek, if not correct, but please correct me if I'm wrong. But barring any issues with that, then I see no reason not to approve, but we do reserve the right to call them back in if something goes sideways in Oregon. Do I have a motion to approve the application?
You're muted.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Mr. Chairman, before you take the
Yes.
vote, may I interject for a second?
Sure.
While I have no reason to believe that all approvals won't be received, they have not all been received yet. I mean, the Escalante, led by Kelly, is doing everything they need to do. They haven't come up short on anything, but we haven't received final approval from all departments, specifically the Conservation Department. So I would suggest that that while you vote to approve this tonight, that you have it contingent upon all final approvals being reserved. Also, Kelly, I've received a request late today from Chief Nelson. I think it's pretty straightforward. He asked if the International could provide oversized plans of the layout of the entire course. We'd like to get 6 copies of those laminated so we can use those for security purposes and planning purposes. And if we could have those by 10 o'clock Tuesday morning, that would be perfect before our next security meeting. So I'm sure the course has those, but we would like to make sure we get that if possible.
So tomorrow, we just need to figure out what scale you want them and details, and tell me who I need to call, and my office will generate them and you will have them.
Great, thank you.
All right, well, then I'll amend what I had said. This is we'll approve conditional upon the final receipt of the approvals from the various boards and committees that have not provided those approvals for the tournament hosted by the International on Labor Day weekend.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Roll call Sikansky,
Aye.
Winner,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kelly, Mike,
Very good
Steve, everybody.
presentation.
We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
All right, next up, I apologize. We're about 40 minutes behind schedule, so we're going to speed it up. We're going to put it on 78 as opposed to 45. People who know about records. Minuteman Regional Vocational Technical School Committee appropriation of excess and deficiency funds request for appropriation from certified excess and deficiency to be transferred from the Capital Stabilization Fund. Ed Boquillan and Nikki Andrade. I apologize if I have mutilated your name. Do we have either Ed or anyone participating?
I don't see their names listed.
I could resend the link in case they dropped off because of the link of the meeting, if you'd like me to.
Well, were they ever on?
I don't know. I wasn't watching.
I never saw Mr.
I didn't see Ed. I didn't see Ed.
Ed wasn't sure he was going to come and Nikki was going to come in his stead. if he
So-
wasn't.
I was scanning the gallery. I never saw either one of them.
All right, so basically they're asking for, what was it, about $500,000 to be moved?
Yes, I believe so. They've got, we received a report that they've got about a little over 1.4 million in their E&D. And I'm searching for the amount here now.
Yeah, I think they're asking for $500,000 to be moved into the stabilization. My goodness, when the juicy topic ends, everybody leaves. We're down to 21 people.
Pretty quiet.
Wow, look at
Yes,
that.
Mr. Chairman, it is $500,000.
And was this was based on their state assessment? Is that what drove this?
I don't,
They do get their E&D certified by the state. And I guess they've made some, internally, they've made some kind of, there was a separate letter that came along with this, though. That
Yeah.
Yep.
It was for their future expansion.
Yeah, but Jenny sent out another letter that,
I just thought it was being driven by the state assessment came back and there was a deficiency.
no, actually, the way I read this is that their E&D, that's what we call free cash.
Mhm.
Right.
And it came in at 1.5 or something, and they want to move 500,000 of that over to their capital stabilization fund.
Got it. Okay.
That's my understanding.
Yeah. They want to park some money for a future rainy day.
I believe
Yeah.
Bob is correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm looking at this letter. I don't know if we need special wording or if we just, have to say it's fine.
I think you could just vote to approve the request as stated in the letter.
Okay, well, I move to approve the transfer of $500,000 from the Minuteman Regional Vocational Technical E&D Fund over to the Capital Stabilization Fund.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 You're
You're
on
muted,
mute,
Jenny.
Jenny.
Roll call Sikansky,
Yes.
Winner,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, and now for the most important part of tonight's meeting, the town administrator report.
There's no way I could follow the previous act. So update on HCA negotiations with United Cultivation. Town council and I have had, I think I reported at the previous meeting, we had a meeting with the CEO and council. We exchanged proposals. We've been in the process now of exchanging additional red line edits, attorney to attorney. I think it's fair to say we're making substantial progress, and I anticipate this being resolved for, or have something to bring forward to the board for consideration for the July 14th meeting.
Okay, great.
And update on negotiations with Wood Partners on the prioritized project list. I've not had additional conversations with Wood Partners since our last select board meeting. I know there's been a ZBA meeting since then. Valerie is working on the decision, which at this point is somewhere around 30 pages. And in some of the areas where we have not come to closure with the prioritized list, it's been noted that there are things still to be determined. So things are in progress. And again, I expect to have a final report for you for the July 14th meeting.
Okay.
So unless the board has any questions for me, that's all I have for you tonight.
No, that's good. Great. Thank you very much. Select board business. Do we have any public service announcements? Bob, you are on mute.
No, I do not have any.
Okay. I don't have any other than my usual rant about bottles and cans. With the Boy Scouts, we'll be having a future meeting with the Boy Scouts to see what we can do to help with that item in terms of the streams in the recyclables as well, but that's for another item, another day. Next item, future agenda items for discussion. Anything there?
I have nothing.
I don't have anything to add.
Okay, great. Reappointments for FY23. I'm going to go down my list and see what we got here. I know, Jenny, you asked me to add somebody. All right, so we have a whole bunch of Bolton boards and committees for reappointment. So do we have to, no, this is not that. Is this the expiring term list? Jenny, you're on mute.
Yes. Do you want me to share the document?
Sure, that'd be best.
Okay, give me a sec. And the person to add, Council on Aging.
Jenny, as I understand this list, if someone's name is here and their term expires in June of this year, we would only be reappointing people who say where the word yes is next to it, right? So people where it's blank, we would not be reappointing them. Am I reading that correctly?
That's correct. We will be moving the appointment of the people who have not confirmed to the July 14th meeting.
Oh, okay. So some of these are undetermined as of this.
Correct.
I've got it.
Okay.
And the board can vote. You don't need to read every name. The board can vote this list as a slate for every person who has said yes, and then take the others up on July 14th.
Okay.
So I will move to, are there any changes to the list, Jenny?
I just made the only one. Corinne Mackey
Okay.
got in touch earlier this evening and said she would like to continue.
Okay.
On Council on Aging.
On Council on Aging.
Okay.
So I move that we reappoint all the names on the presented list that have affirmed they want to continue, that they want to renew.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, great.
Roll call, Sikansky,
Yes.
Winner,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
So we'll try to catch up with the stragglers the next meeting. Is that the deal?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay, next up is transfer station stickers for seniors 61 plus for FY23. This is a item which we've had longstanding, where we offer to seniors who have a member of the household age 61 or above $100 in stickers for the garbage for the coming fiscal year. And they can have any combination of orange and green stickers as long as it adds up to $100. I think it's a worthwhile thing that we should continue. I see no reason why we should stop. I think we should continue the practice.
All right, I move to authorize the discounted transfer station stickers for fiscal 23.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next up, and this is, I believe,
Sorry.
your
I just need to do roll call on that. I was muted again. My
it's
apologies.
board and committee structure discussion. So why don't you
We
take
got to do
us-
roll call.
I'm
Roll
sorry?
call.
Oh, we gotta do roll call. It gets in the way.
Sorry. Roll call, Sikansky,
Yes.
Winner,
Aye.
and Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
So,
All right. Next up is board and committee structure discussions.
right, so first
Take it
off,
away,
I'd like
Bob.
to thank whoever put this list together. It's very helpful, showing which committees are appointed by the select board, and I'm surprised there's only two that are truly creatures of the select board. The rest are all in accordance with Mass General laws. I don't have anything specific that I'm prepared to discuss this evening. I would like to talk about at some future date, gain some consensus with the other board members about what the select board's responsibility is in terms of what we should be expecting from the people that we appoint. Some of these seem to go off in a lot of different tangents, and maybe that's a good thing. I think some of it goes a little extreme, but we need to gain consensus about that before we talk about specific situations.
And the credit for the
No, I think
document
that's
is
fine.
Pam
And
Powell.
actually, it was Pam Powell. Yeah, Pam Powell put that
All
together.
right,
She
thank you, Pam.
shared that with me when I was in town hall. So, thank Pam for that. And I agree. I think we've perhaps been a bit lax in some of the committees or subcommittees that have been appointed by the Board of Selectmen or Select Board. That at the very least, we should be getting some feedback from those committees or subcommittees on some regular basis. So, if we want to carry on discussion at a future meeting, that's fine with me. I'm perfectly fine with that. If we want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me just zoom back up in my agenda and see where we are at. Okay. So next is the approval of the bills and the payroll warrants. W22-26 and W22-26A. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Roll call, Sikansky,
Aye.
Winner,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
And do we have any minutes, Jenny?
We do. We have the minutes of May 26th regular session, and there were no changes.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I move we approve the minutes of the regular session for May 26th.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Roll call, Sikansky,
Aye.
Winner,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, now we will be moving into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Teamsters Union Local 170. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigation position of the Board of Selectmen, and the chair, me, so declares. And then we will also approve executive session minutes. And the board will return to open session for the purpose of adjournment only. Do I have a motion to move into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Roll call, Sikansky,
Aye.
Winner,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for everyone participating tonight. I really would like to know who Permitting Kiosk is. So,
That was Jeff Nichols.
oh, thank you.
Our ill-fated attempt to set him up over there.
Oh, the permitting kiosk is the computer in the hallway.
Yes.
Permitting Kiosk.
Oh, I thought it was some slick, name.
It's not that we permit kiosks, it's that the kiosk at
Permitting
which
kiosks.
we do permitting.
Oh, well. It's the Terminator. This is like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator series. The Permitting Kiosk is going to be ice. I go bottle, straw. That's what I got. Anytime I go to a liquor store, they know. They said, "Oh, Mr. Wysocki, how many straws do you want with that bottle?"
Refill his Camelback, please. I move to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Roll call, Sikansky,
Aye.
Winner,
Aye.
Wysocki,
Aye.
and the time for the record is 9:15 p.m. Have a great night, everybody. There is
Everyone, thank you.
night.
one letter in the
Okay.
yellow folder to be signed for Mr. BcQuillan.
For all of us.
For all of us?
Yes. Let me look.
We ended before 10 this week. I thought this was going to be a very late meeting.
Nope, just for Stan.
Just
Just
stand.
me?
Stan.
Okay. All right. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
All
All
right.
right. Good night, everyone. Have a good
Good
weekend.
night.
You as
All
well.
right.